And I'd like to invite you to kind of move forward if you want to, because there's some things that you might want to see that way back there is going to be kind of hard to see. But anyway, as I said, thanks for coming. And my job is to help you sell more saddles. And traditionally, saddles have been sold kind of by a shotgun method. You know, the customer comes into the store, walks over to where the saddles are, takes a look at a few, picks a couple that might be the right size, takes them over to the saddle buck, puts them on, sits on it. Nah, that's not right. Puts another one on. No, not right. You know, this one tips me forward. This one is, no, it doesn't work. It's too narrow. It's too whatever. What happens is that they don't know how to really test a saddle, how to buy a saddle, and that's where you come in. You're going to guide them through this process, and there might have been one of those saddles that customer looked at and tried that really would work, but they didn't try it correctly. So that's what I'm going to help them do. And first of all, we have to get the vocabulary straight and get the concept straight. And so first of all, we're going to talk about the products, the saddles themselves. It doesn't have to be Smith-Worthington saddles, it can be anybody's saddles. I suppose it can be Equestrian saddles. And you have to know them. You have to know these products intimately. You have to know how they're made, what's inside, what's outside, what the design is. And now you need to know, is it stuffed with, does it have a tree? It's like this, a steel and wood tree. This can be adjusted to fit the horse. If it's a fiberglass tree, if it's a polycarbonate, whatever tree, some kind of synthetics, not always can be adjusted to fit the horse. This can be adjusted, who knows, dozens of times. Don't, you know, if somebody says a saddle can only be adjusted 3 times and it weakens the tree, either they're using a really junky tree in the saddle, or they're lying to you. And so, you know, I really doubt that they're that junky of a tree because they liability. You know, it would break under the weight and the jump forces of riding. So, anyway, know what's inside. Know what it's stuffed with. Is it stuffed with, that I have somewhere here, nice wool flock? Or is it foam? Is it air bladders? Is it, you know, they all have benefits and the downside. You know all about those things. But then besides how the saddle is constructed, what kind of leather is in it? They have different qualities. Different leathers have different qualities. For instance, pigskin will wear like iron. It is the most durable leather out there, but it's hard. You're never going to have a soft, cushy seat with pigskin leather on it. But your softer, more comfy seats, they're going to be less durable. It's always a trade-off. So, but know what your product is made of, and be able to tell your customer those things. Your customer will appreciate your honesty, and you know that you'd let them know that if they get this fancy calfskin, whatever saddle, that they know that they're going to have to face a seat replacement in the future because it won't last. They will appreciate your honesty. And that's your credibility. It will help you sell saddles. So now on to some more things about the product, the saddle, and the design of the saddle. And that's what really is going to help you sell saddles, is being able to match up your customer to the right saddle and have them feel that it's right. So you start out with well, we'll start with twist. That word twist. Everybody uses that word twist. And most people don't know what it means. Among the riders, they think it's this, you know, this part of the saddle. No, it's down here. It's this area between my thumbs. If you can see, it's the narrowest part of the tree. It is determined not by the rider, but by the horse and the width of its spine. You know, so that the rider, when they say I need a narrow twist, well, they might, but if they've got a wide horse, it's not going to happen. What the rider is usually referring to is, on the other side, a combination of crest, and there's one of the handouts that is explaining this and some illustrations. They're talking about crest and ramp, and to some extent the whole sweep pattern of the seat. And the sweep pattern determines where the working center is. It also determines the crest. These two pieces of web that you're underneath, can everybody see this? Mm-hmm. Are put on first. And it is kind of loose and floppy when they put it on. And then the saddler strains these cross pieces. And depending on how tightly he strains these, will determine whether the working center will be back here somewhere or up here. It will also determine this kind of shape. Okay? So that's where the shape of the saddle is determined at this stage of construction. And the seat cannot be changed. You have to build a whole new saddle to change that. So, but a wide twist, or you know, a lot of saddles are within a 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch difference in twist between the widest twist and the narrowest twist. The riders, you can't see that, you can't measure it. Once the saddle is built, you cannot see that. What you can see is the crest. And if somebody's saying they need a narrow twist, well, just think, they're talking this part, which has nothing to do with the twist, but it's ultimately their legs have to spread apart and get enough, and do accommodate the twist. So if you have a rider who is, and feel free at any point to interrupt and ask a question, because I'd rather do it that way than have all the questions at the end, okay? So you want to, the first step in saddle fitting the rider is actually getting the right horse. And if you have a horse that is a big, wide draft, something, and a narrow, petitely built, finely built rider who needs a narrow twist, they're never going to find it. They're just, the legs, the human anatomy is made for walking. And it's got some mobility this way, but much less so. And so the hips reach a certain point, and they don't want to go any further. Now that point, and you come forward a little bit, but here, that has to accommodate the barrel of the horse, the saddle, and the person's thighs. We're not all built like this. You know, there's some people with very strong muscular thighs, and that has to be accommodated too. So all that kind of has to, your legs can only go so far. And if you've, so if they've got the wrong horse, they're never gonna, they're never gonna be able to do it without getting into a chair seat. Because once it starts to get too wide, the legs go forward. You have a question? Oh, I thought you did.
Sorry.
Okay. Is everybody with me? Yes.
What about having the combination between the ramp and the crest padded with foam to give the feel of a higher, more narrow twist, so that the waist kind of falls
like
away?
Like Schlesy does?
No, not actually.
I know his saddles have a, well, they're not like, the tree is not like this, but there's a hollow place that's filled with a softer foam. Yeah. And now some of our saddles do have a very soft foam here, and that helps some, but ultimately, you bang on foam enough, you're going to be just as sore as if you were banging on, you know, a harder. And, you know, things will feel fine sometimes for a 5-minute ride, But if you're out riding for an hour or more, you know, all that hanging takes its toll. And so I don't know that, I'm not sure if the foam, you know, I'm just speaking from my riding experience, and I find soft foam doesn't help me that much. What it ultimately is you know, it has to be good riding, first of all, and you have to have room in here for your pelvic structure. And if it's not room for it, and you're making room, so-called by foam softness, that's not really making room. It's just not a good fit. Okay, so any other questions at this point?